Hi there, folks. If you've been following some of these videos, you've noticed that I've been talking through a different series of ways to do processing, doing some emotional self-care, mental health care for yourself so that you can just really tend to your own needs and be able to just really deal with some of the issues that you might be going on, trying to integrate that into a normal daily cadence as part of your self-care activity. Some of the things that we've covered so far in some of the videos are things like doing spade work, which is a way to do personal processing time. It's kind of like getting into the gym, taking about 15 or 30 minutes in a day to just really kind of dig in and just process through what's going on in any given day for you. That's a great individual exercise to be able to do. Another one that I did was going through the primary to secondary emotion processing, which kind of adds and expands our vocabulary a little bit to expand our words for describing what we're feeling, going from primary emotions to more nuanced and more varied secondary emotions. I also went through what's called a conflict processing tool, which uses a structure called the BTF tool, when you can take a conflict and break it down to a behavior, thought, and feeling, and allowing you to be able to be much more nuanced in what you're thinking and feeling through a conflict, and helping you to resolve internal conflict a little bit better, but also conflict with others. Today in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to what I call relational processing. And so let me take a step back here and just say that this is something that I personally as a therapist will employ. All my therapists in my practice, we do this on a regular basis. Every week, we get into a room and we talk with one another, basically checking in and processing through what we're thinking, what we're feeling. And so essentially, this is the process that we as therapists go through. It's something that's part of our self-care, and I want to be able to give that tool to you right now. Again, it's called relational processing. All it basically means that you're processing with other people, in connection with other people. So this is the basic framework that in loose structure I'll employ. It covers these 5 different steps. And so the first step is you're connecting with other people, is that you just got to talk about it. That means that on any kind of given check-in, if you're just hanging out with somebody, it might mean let's just talk about what the real is, what's going on in our lives, what are we thinking, what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, and just trying to put all our cards on the table. And the idea behind this, if you're going to do it in a relational setting, is that it has to be a very vulnerable and a judgment-free zone. That means that we're just talking. We're not going to try and fix. We're not going to try to give each other advice. We're just going to give each other room to just kind of articulate and express what it is that we're going through. So the first step is we just got to be able to talk about it, put our cards on the table, so to speak. The second step is to be able to explore, which means that we need to be able to start asking questions of what we feel and why we feel it. Now, ideally, this is you as a person who's sharing. You can start talking through, well, as I've been going through kind of an inventory of what's going on this week, I realized that this is what's going on, and this is what I'm feeling, and this is maybe why I'm feeling it. You're trying to just move the pieces around a little bit. Again, if we're putting all the pieces on a table, so to speak, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We're just trying to move the pieces around to see what fits a little bit better and to get a better picture and image of what's actually going on. So that's the second step. We just want to be able to create enough room to explore and understand a little bit more in depth. The next step is once we get a better understanding of what we're feeling and why we're feeling it, then we begin to allow ourselves to actually engage the feeling. That means to feel it fully. And so typically what I see is that when I'll use myself for example, if I can actually pinpoint, okay, this is what I'm actually thinking, this is what I'm feeling, and why I'm feeling it, it hits the sweet spot and I allow myself to actually feel it. That usually means that I'm going to feel some level of pain or maybe some sorrow, some anger or frustration around that. But whatever it is, I'm going to allow myself to actually feel it, because in doing so, that begins a process of clarifying and healing as well. So that's what I'm going to allow myself to do in this step. And I'll say that this is probably the step that's hardest for most people, and the reason why this particular process, or any process for that matter, is hard is because we have a hard time letting ourselves feel. And so a lot of times this is going to look like maybe some tears, maybe some difficult emotions and things like that. But if we can create the room and the safety and connection to allow ourselves to feel fully, then that really helps with the processing work. The fourth step after that is to let yourself connect with others. And so after you allow yourself to emote and just really put your cards on the table again and to feel with other people, in a safe place with other people, allowing yourself to connect, allowing other people to connect empathetically with you. The connection process is key in this entire structure, because just simply emoting on our own, that's something that, again, we can do with the spade tool or with any of the other tools, because they're meant to be done a little bit more in isolation on our own. The relational processing tool means that we're actually connecting empathetically with others. That means we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, to be known, but then to also allow people to really move into and to be with us in present, empathetic ways in that space. And so we want to make sure we're able to connect with others in that way. And then the last part is to release it for today. And now I'm going to emphasize for today, because once this happens, it's almost as though there's a release of sorts of, okay, I know what I feel, I know why I feel it, and I've been able to feel it with other people. That is an enormously healing exercise. But the thing is that that might be just enough for today. It might be that you might need to do that again tomorrow and the next day after that. This is a routine. This is a cadence. And this is the reason why I'll say, in even my own practice, we do this every week, because every week we're going to have new things that are coming up. And so every week we'll go through a process similar like this, where we'll go through all these steps, connect it with one another, and then release. And that's how we take care of ourselves emotionally, and how we engage in emotional self-care and the emotional hygiene that we've been talking about in this series of videos. So anyways, that is what I would call the relational processing tool that I would use. Key thing here is that we want to be able to provide this type of environment for a lot of people out there that might not be able to get into a group like this or to get into therapy. So definitely check out our Facebook groups. We've created these groups, these private groups, as a way to kind of simulate this process, but a little bit more virtually. So when you can get into one of these groups, we've got therapists, we've got other moderators in there that will basically follow this process, where we're going to create a safe space for you to just talk, to articulate yourself, to explore what it is you're feeling, and to allow yourself to really dig into these things and to connect with other people. It's just another way for us to be able to encourage the relational processing exercise. So again, definitely integrate this into your self-care toolbox. Use it as often as you can. Connect with others in a healthy way. Those are all great ways to take care of yourself emotionally, and also to make sure you're connecting with others relationally well as well. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next video.